Okay, good morning all. So we today's session is like we are going to cover like module 3 and the pending thing from yesterday last week is remaining two types of installation methods and followed by how we need to deinstall the PostgreSQL software from the machines. Okay, that we will cover later part of this particular module 3. Okay, so we completed with the module 1 and second module is like Linux basics commands. You all are from Oracle background, right? So you already aware of the Linux basic commands. So that module, as we said in previous demos or classes also, Linux module we introduced for the SQL Server database administrators. Okay, so what we will do? Okay, we will share that content to you. Okay, those are some basic commands, so you already aware of that. Okay, so you can do practice from your side. Okay, if required, we will cover again. Okay, but those are like very basic commands. You are already aware of those commands. Okay, if still required. Okay, so we will cover. Okay, so after completion of today's session, we will share the document, the Linux basic commands. Okay, so and Darpan, I think you asked the question right in our in the group WhatsApp group. Okay, so how to do the deinstallations, all these things. Okay, I will cover today. Okay, how we need to install. There is some very basic 2 or 3 steps. Okay, that is needed to deinstall the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, we will show you. Okay, after completion of other 2 types of PostgreSQL cluster installations. Okay, so we'll cover the module 3. Okay, so how we can create and managing the database cluster. Guys, you are able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this particular module, what we are going to cover is like we are going to cover like what is the database cluster, what is the PostgreSQL database cluster. Okay, we already seen, right? Okay, how we can initialize the PostgreSQL cluster with help of the initdb utility. Next thing is how we can start, how we can stop, okay, and how we can restart and reload. Okay, so here we are saying like start, stop, restart, and reload. Okay, what are the differences between all these things? Okay, we will cover in this particular module. Okay, and also we are going to cover about the types of shutdown modes in PostgreSQL. Okay, comparing with Oracle. Okay, what are the types of the shutdown modes in PostgreSQL? Okay, and how it is different from the Oracle. Okay, and the next thing is we are going to cover what is the difference between the reload and the restart. Okay, so then what is the utility of like pg underscore control data? What exactly the pg underscore control data? So how we can read the like control files in PostgreSQL with help of the pg underscore control data. Okay, so these things we will cover today. Okay, so then after we will jump into the installations. Okay, I think you're able to see my screen. I changed the slide. Yes, someone can confirm.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this particular thing is like, right? Okay, so what we covered, what is the database cluster in PostgreSQL? So a database cluster in PostgreSQL is, okay, it is a collection of the databases. Okay, it is collection of, okay, it's like collection of the databases. But if you think about like Oracle, okay, so Oracle, how it will be? So if you're talking about the Oracle cluster means, okay, it is a grouping of the nodes or grouping of the instances. Okay, then it will form as a real application cluster. But here in PostgreSQL, it is nothing but grouping of the databases. Okay, and each database having the n number of the objects. Okay, in PostgreSQL. Okay, so whenever we are calling here in PostgreSQL database cluster, okay, or PostgreSQL database cluster, we can just keep in our mind, okay, it is collection of the databases. Okay, it is collection of the databases, and this particular database cluster is running on the single instance or single server. Okay, so that is the like key difference between the like Oracle RAC and here. Okay, the terminology. Okay. So there the cluster is nothing but the grouping of the nodes. Here is like PostgreSQL database cluster is okay grouping of the databases. Okay, so how we can initialize the database cluster? So we can see right while doing the installation we saw right. Okay, so by using the initdb utility, okay, initializing the database cluster utility. Okay, so it is coming with the software, PostgreSQL software. Okay, so with help of the initdb utility, so we are going to create the PostgreSQL database cluster. Okay, guys. Okay, so next thing is like creating the database cluster. Okay, it is including okay, there is a syntax. Okay, initdb we have the two types of the syntaxes here. Okay, so with help of those syntax what we will do, okay, we will fire the command initdb and followed by directory name. Okay, means directory location. Okay, initdb -d directory name. So here while initializing the cluster we are going to create the directory. Okay, we are going to create the directory that we can call it as a like master directory, as like base directory, or like data directory of the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, it means whenever if we initialize the cluster with the help of the initdb utility in PostgreSQL, okay, so we are creating the directory layout. Okay, we are creating the directory layout for the PostgreSQL. So this directory layout we have the like next module. Okay, so in this directory layout whenever if initialize, okay, it create the base directory. Okay, inside the base directory we have the n number of subdirectories, and also it containing okay n number of the files, configuration files. Okay, so it containing like the data related information, it containing like wall related information. Wall is nothing but write ahead logs. Okay, it containing the global files in the sense data dictionary information. Okay, and also it contains all the parameter files information. Okay, everything you will see in our like coming classes. Okay, so for now, whenever if we initialize the database cluster, PostgreSQL database cluster with initdb utility, so it will create the data directory. In the data directory, we have the n number of subdirectories. Okay, each subdirectory having their own like functionality, their own responsibility in the PostgreSQL to store the relevant data. Okay, so we can call this base directory, we can call it as a data directory. Okay, we have a first initialize the storage area on the disk before we begin any operations on the database. Okay, so whenever if you perform any thing, okay, in the PostgreSQL cluster, okay, first thing is you need to initialize the storage. Okay, so here the storage containing the storage we are pointing as a like base directory. Under the base directory we can see like n number of directories. Okay, so what I will do, okay, I will like write one paint. Let me share my screen.
So here batch profile kind of thing, it is for only cluster level, right? Not for each database level.
Yes, exactly. You are able to see my screen, paint?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so suppose if we take this one. Let me- yeah. Suppose this one, if we call it as a PG DB cluster. Okay, so whenever like if we initialize the PG Postgres database cluster, okay, by using initdb utility, okay, initdb utility. So what it will happen under the PostgreSQL cluster, okay, under the PostgreSQL cluster, Okay, so we are initializing, okay, okay, the data directory. Okay, we are initializing the data directory. So this we can call it as a PG data, okay, or okay, base directory. Okay, under the base directory, we have the like base subdirectory. Okay, this is the like base master directory. Under the base master directory, we have the like subdirectory. Okay, under the subdirectory, we have db1. This way we can db2, Postgres, template 0, template 1. Okay, so these all are okay. So this is a master directory. Under the master directory, we have the like a base directory. Okay, subdirectory, that is the base directory. Under the base directory, we have the like another subdirectories. Okay, we will show you in our next session. Okay, like what exactly these subdirectories. Okay, and how it will be. Okay, the tree structure is something like this. Okay, so this is our like base directory. Okay, under the like base directory, we have the subdirectories, and each subdirectory is having another subdirectories. Okay, so and also we have global, and also we have PG underscore control. Okay, and we have what else? PG underscore wall, so on. Okay, and very important thing we need to discuss is PG underscore TBL SPC. Okay, and also we have one more thing here. Okay, table space. Okay, so here we have the global. Okay, these all are subdirectories under the like master base directory. Okay, so like that, and also we can see like this. Okay, so this is the actually whenever if you initialize your Postgres SQL cluster, whenever if you initialize the Postgres SQL cluster with the help of the initdb utility, while initializing your cluster, you need to mention, okay, so the directory, okay, where exactly the directory is going to create the data directory. We can call this is a like base directory, or we can call it as this is a Postgres SQL home directory. Okay, so in this particular directory, we have the n number of subdirectories. Okay, each subdirectory is having its own functionality. Okay, so under the like base directory, there is another base directory. Okay, so in this particular base directory, we will have all database related OIDs. Okay, so these are the like OIDs, guys, like while initializing our entire class. Okay, so in first slide we informed, okay, the Postgres SQL cluster is object relational database management system. Okay, so here we are giving the like names. Okay, but after the base directory, we have the subdirectory with the numbers. Okay, so how the numbers will be created, okay, how we need to manage that, we will see in the table space management. But now whenever if you initialize the Postgres SQL cluster, okay, the directory structure will be created something like this. Okay, here here the global, okay, the global is containing the like data dictionary information, okay, okay. So and also it is containing the all the global cluster global related information, okay, and PG control, okay, the PG control having the catalog information about the PostgreSQL cluster, okay, and the PG wall, okay, the PG wall is containing, okay, whenever we are performing any changes in the PostgreSQL cluster, so PG wall containing the change vector related information, okay, it is initially, okay, it is initially or by default, the PG underscore wall size is 1 GB, okay, and inside the PG underscore wall, okay, we can see the 16 MB related wall files will be created, okay, so it is like cyclic manner. Whenever 1 GB file is like filled, okay, so it is automatically flushed from here to like archive location. If we enable the archelog in our PostgreSQL, it means archelog or wall log, okay, and the next thing is, and important thing is we need to discuss here, that is the PG underscore table space, okay, the PG underscore table space. Whenever if we create the PostgreSQL cluster with initDB utility, by default PG underscore table space subdirectory will create, okay, okay, guys, here I am mentioning PG underscore table space subdirectory will create, okay, and outside of the base directory, okay, there is another part that related to table space, okay. Maybe you have a doubt, okay, so here we have the table space. What is the use of this one? Oh, okay, here we already having the PG underscore table space, okay. So what is the use of this actional table space, okay? So this particular table space will be useful whenever if you are like creating your customized table spaces, okay. Those things we will see, okay, in depth, okay, while we are discussing about table space management, okay. For now we are only discussing about the initDB utility, okay. So hope I think you understood this concept, okay. Whenever if we initialize the PostgreSQL cluster with initDB utility, okay, it will create the base directory, it will create the base master directory, okay, that we can call it as a the data directory of the PostgreSQL cluster. Inside the base directory, inside the data directory, we have the m number of directories, okay, and also apart from this, okay, just a moment, okay, apart from this we have the PostgreSQL conf, okay, these are the parameter files in PostgreSQL, okay, postgres.auto.conf, okay, so and also we have pg underscore hba.conf, okay. So and also we have like many other files, pg underscore ident.conf, okay. So like this we have a number of files, okay. We will show you in the directory layout is our next module, okay. There you will see, okay, we will deep dive into each directory layout, okay, each file related things, okay. But related to these files, okay, so we will see and we will play with the parameters, okay, how we can change the parameters in PostgreSQL, okay, and what is the like p file and sp file in PostgreSQL, okay, that is p file sp file in PostgreSQL is equal to postgresql.conf, okay, and what is the difference between the postgresql.conf and postgresql.auto.conf, okay, and also we will discuss about the pg underscore hpa.conf, okay, what exactly the pg underscore hpa.conf, okay. This is a very important file in PostgreSQL, okay. So to control the connections, okay, okay, this is a like host based authentication file, okay. How we can control our like connections in the PostgreSQL, how many ways we have, okay. So what are the like algorithms are using here inside the pg underscore hpa.conf, everything we will discuss in our next modules, okay. So this diagram is clear, guys? Guys,
All good.
okay, let me share my screen again with this slide. Hope I think you're able to see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So So this part is completed. Okay. Initially, if you are not performing, okay, if you are not mentioning, if you're not mentioning any directory location, okay, while initializing the cluster with help of the initdb utility, okay, by default, PostgreSQL will be pick, okay, okay, for the, in the Linux related, if you're installing in the Linux flavor of OS, okay, so this is the by default location for the data directory. But the good practice is, okay, so whenever if you're initializing your PostgreSQL cluster, okay, the best option is you need to pick your own directory. Okay, you can create your own directory, and with help of the -d, okay, and you can mention, okay, you can mention your own directory to store, okay, all your data directory related files and folders. Okay. Okay, so this is the syntax, guys. Okay, this is the syntax how we can initialize your PostgreSQL cluster with the data directory. Okay, so we can initialize the PostgreSQL cluster with two methods. Okay, one is like directly we can use the initdb utility from the binary. Okay, and then if we can mention -d and the location. Okay, and the location of your directory. Okay, so you can create your customized location. Okay, you can create your customized location, and you can point out this directory into the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, and another method is that is the pg_ctl. Okay, pg_ctl. Okay, so the same. Okay, we need to mention the directory location. Okay, by using the -d. Then we will initialize the database cluster with help of the initdb utility. Okay, so we will show you. I think we already shown you, right? Okay, so with help of the initdb help, okay, you will see a number of options. Okay, in these options you can mention, okay, okay, which are the things you need, okay, while initializing the cluster. Okay, so it means there is a restrictions in PostgreSQL. Okay, so while initializing the cluster only, you can mention some of the things. Suppose if you are thinking about the block size, okay, so by default the block size of the PostgreSQL cluster is, okay, 8 KB. Okay, the block, or maybe you can call here is the page. Okay, so while initializing the cluster, you can mention the block size. Okay, you can mention the block size if the block size is not like default one. Suppose you don't want to have your PostgreSQL block size is, or page size is 8 KB. Okay, so then while initializing your cluster, you can pick the different block size. Okay, otherwise it will pick by default 8 KB size. Okay, like that, and also the character set. If you don't want like instead of UTF-8 universal character set, you want to have some different character set. You want to have maybe some European character set, or maybe some German character set. Okay, so in the situation while initializing, okay, while initializing cluster only, you can mention that particular option, and based on your requirement you can pick the option. Okay, but once initializing the cluster, okay, there are some restrictions, okay, related to this block. Okay, sorry, page or block. Okay, and related to the character set. Okay, like we have some other options also. Those things. So suppose if you realized after initializing your cluster, okay, so you are unable to change this block information or page information, or like the character set information. Okay, after your initializing your cluster. Okay, so you need to decide. Okay, and you can initialize. Okay, while you are initializing your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, here we have a number of options. You can choose based on your requirement. Okay, so this is the startup sequence, guys. Okay, how the startup process. Okay, so whenever if you start your PostgreSQL by using the pg_ctl or systemctl command, okay, to start your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, this is the ways. Okay, these are the like ways internally it will happen, and it will start the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, the first thing is, okay, whenever if you perform the pg_ctl utility. Okay, so it will be allocated the shared memory. Okay, so the shared memory, how it will allocate. Okay, so we have the parameters. Okay, and work memory, we have the work_memory parameter. We have the shared underscore memory parameters. We have the like max_connection parameters. Okay, and based on those those particular parameters. Okay, so the memory will be pick related to memory related parameters, how we can given. Okay, and next thing is okay, the control file be like it will read the control file. Okay, it will read the control file. Okay, what exactly control file having? Okay, control file having the checkpoint information. Okay, checkpoint information about your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, so after or before your particular PostgreSQL cluster down, okay, that time, okay, checkpoint will update. Okay, checkpoint will update. Okay, so up to this particular time, okay, we have the checkpoint and we have the data sync among, okay, all the physical locations. Okay, so that information will be there, checkpoint information will be there into the control file. Okay, so after memory allocation, okay, the PostgreSQL engine, okay, it will read the control file to perform. Okay, to perform if after the checkpoint is there any wall files are created. It means after the checkpoints is there any like changes is happened, okay, before shutdown your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, so it will compare the checkpoint and it will compare is there any wall files are available. Okay, so if required, okay, if required, it will perform the like database recovery. Okay, by database recovery with the help of the checkpoint information and also the wall files. Okay, then after it will open the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, then after it will open the PostgreSQL cluster. Guys, any doubts with particular slide? Are you feeling fast?
It's clear.
Okay, Banu. Yeah, okay, and like suppose in Oracle, okay, in Oracle we can open our Oracle database into no mode. We can open our like database into mounts. Okay, like this, and then we can alter database open. Then we can take our Oracle database into like open status. But here in PostgreSQL we don't have the such options. Okay, we don't have like in between option to open our PostgreSQL cluster into different modes. Okay, so we have option to just start the PostgreSQL status. Okay, and it is going to open the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, but in Oracle we have the options like mount, no mount, okay, and open status. Okay, but here in PostgreSQL we don't have any options such like that. Okay, so these are the shutdown the steps. Okay, how the PostgreSQL will be shut down. Okay, and what are the steps included in that. Okay, by using the pg_ctl and also systemctl command. Okay, we can stop the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, here are the steps. Okay, so whenever if you stop your PostgreSQL cluster, okay, first thing is it is going to disable any new connections. Okay, it means it will not at all allow the new connections into the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, and then gracefully, okay, it will terminate all the backend connections. It means backend connections in the sense, okay, so you know right, in PostgreSQL is a like process oriented database technology it is using. Okay, so each and every connection, okay, each and every user is trying to make a connect to the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, it is containing the associated backend process. Okay, so whenever if you stop your PostgreSQL cluster, okay, so it will first thing is it will stop all the connections. Okay, so then next thing is it will terminate all the backend connection. Okay, and next thing is, so whenever there is a long running transactions, okay, so those long running transactions will be, or maybe the transactions which are in like middle of suppose there is some update operation is going on. Okay, so in this situation what it will do the rollback. It is gracefully it will perform. Okay, so here pg_ctl stop is like we are shutdowning. Okay, we are making down our PostgreSQL cluster in gracefully, not like abort status. We will show you in our next slides. Okay, so what are different modes of the like shutdowns. Okay, and next thing is it will forcefully create the checkpoint, okay, and it will forcefully do the checkpoint, and it will write all your buffers into the memory, okay. It will write all your buffers, okay. It will modify all your data in the buffers to the disk location, physical location, okay. And also it will update, okay, it will update all your checkpoint information, information to the control file, okay. So why this checkpoint is required? Whenever if you are going to restart your cluster, okay, whenever if you are going to restart your cluster, this checkpoint information will be available. This checkpoint information will be available to refer during our next restart, okay. So based on this checkpoint information, if there is any WAL files is included after this particular checkpoint, okay, then the PostgreSQL startup process, okay, there is a background startup process. It is automatically pick and it is automatically compare, okay, what is the checkpoint and what is the WAL files, okay. If there is a differences, okay, startup process will perform the recovery and it will automatically start your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, so here are the like types of shutdown mode, guys. Okay, here in PostgreSQL we have the 3 types of shutdown modes. One is the smart one, and second one is the fast one, and third one is the immediate. Okay, so fast is the default one. Okay, the fast one is the like default one in PostgreSQL. Okay, so smart and fast. Okay, smart and fast. Actually, in smart mode, what it will happen? So both in smart and fast. Okay, whenever if you shut down your PostgreSQL cluster, okay, it is not going to allow any new connections, okay. But in smart mode, okay, what it will happen? So it is going to stay the whenever if you perform the smart shutdown, okay. So it will wait until the sessions are coming automatically, or until the sessions are coming its own, okay. It means it will wait for session to completed. Okay, so this is in the smart mode. But the fast mode is, okay, fast mode are also similar to smart mode only. Okay, it will disallow the new connections. Okay, and also it is going to abort your current transactions. Okay, but this abort is not like the immediate abort. It is also performing this abort operation gracefully. And the next mode is immediate mode. Okay, so this is the very danger mode in PostgreSQL. Okay, we can call it as here in PostgreSQL, immediate mode is equivalent to abort mode in Oracle. Okay, so whenever if you perform the abort in Oracle, okay, it may be leads to database recovery in our next startup. Okay, so here in PostgreSQL, immediate is equivalent to Oracle abort. Okay, so here is the diagram, guys. Okay, here is the diagram. Okay, shutdown modes. Okay, we have the smart, fast, and immediate. Okay, so in all the cases, if you're trying to shut down your PostgreSQL cluster, okay, it will not allow any new connection. Okay, it will not allow any new connection. Okay, in smart mode, it will wait for sessions to be like drained out. Okay, sessions to be like exit from the like PostgreSQL. Okay, but in fast and immediate mode, it is like this particular sessions is the abort. Okay, but in fast mode, that is graceful abort. Okay, but immediate mode, it is forceful abort. Okay, so that's why in immediate mode, if you like there is any running transactions in your PostgreSQL cluster, okay, it may be lead to the recovery, okay, in our next startup of your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, and also the checkpoint, the force checkpoint, yes, we have in smart and fast mode. Okay, the checkpoint should be there, okay, to avoid recovery in our next startup. But in immediate mode, okay, there will be no checkpoint. Okay, there will be no checkpoint. Okay, so whenever if we shut down your PostgreSQL with immediate mode, okay, so in this situation it will go to any recovery, okay, based on our changes. Okay, so the recovery, yes, so we don't want to like face any recovery if you shut down your PostgreSQL cluster with smart or fast. But immediate is like it is like shut downing your PostgreSQL cluster without a checkpoint. Okay, definitely there will be like recovery after your PostgreSQL shutdown with immediate option. Okay, these are the differences between Oracle and PostgreSQL, guys. Okay, we have like four types of options available in Oracle, but here in PostgreSQL we have only three options. Okay, three options. Okay, so here are the like different types. Okay, how it will be. Okay, this one we already discussed in our last slide. Okay, so here the key difference is, okay, Oracle immediate is equivalent to, okay, PostgreSQL fast. Okay, so don't think like, okay, immediate is a graceful shutdown in PostgreSQL. Okay, immediate in Oracle is equivalent to PostgreSQL fast. Okay, this is the like preferred, or this is the like default shutdown mode. Okay, whenever if you pgctl stop -d data directory name, if you mention, okay, it is going for the PostgreSQL fast mode. Okay, guys, PostgreSQL immediate. Okay, the PostgreSQL immediate is equivalent to Oracle abort. Okay, so this one we already see. Okay, so we have like four modes in Oracle, four shutdown modes in Oracle, but here in PostgreSQL we have only three modes. Okay, and also here is a caution. Okay, we already informed. Okay, in Oracle DBA. Okay, suppose you are from Oracle database background and you are doing in Oracle DBA with shut immediate option to shut down your Oracle databases. Okay, but please keep in your mind, guys. Okay, we should not do the like PostgreSQL immediate option to bring down your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, always you need to prefer PostgreSQL fast or PostgreSQL smart method. Okay, so that is the note. Any doubts, guys, until here?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so here is the differences between the reload and restart. Until now we discussed about the start and stop. Okay, and what is the difference between the reload and restart? Okay, so the main difference of the reload and restart is, okay, reload means it is not going to affect your service. Okay, so what it will do, just it will reload your configuration. Okay, whenever if you are performing any configuration changes, okay, and those configuration changes are relevant to like your dynamic parameters. Okay, so we can use reload option to load or affect those particular configuration changes into the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, and we can use two types of reload options. Okay, that we will show you in our next slide. Okay, so the main use of the reload is if we are playing, okay, if we are playing with any dynamic parameters. Okay, so you will see the better understanding. Okay, you will see the better understanding about the reload and restart like operations in PostgreSQL in parameter file management. Okay, but for now reload is not going to affect your particular running PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, cluster related service. Okay, reload will just reload your configuration of the PostgreSQL cluster, and it will take whenever if you perform the reload operation in PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, after changing any parameters, okay, dynamic parameters, okay, those parameters will be reload into your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, that parameter values will be affected to your PostgreSQL cluster. But in restart, okay, in restart, it is going to affect, okay, it is going to affect your service. It means it is containing the downtime of your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, restart in the sense it is gracefully shut down your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, and it is going to start your PostgreSQL cluster again. Okay, so restart means okay, so it is going to use whenever if you're performing any dynamic parameters changes. Okay, it may be like pg underscore hp dot conf file, or it may be like any parameter files, static parameter file changes. Okay, those parameter changes, okay, those parameter changes needs to be affected in the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, you need to bring down our system. Okay, and you need to start our system. Okay, so then only those changes will be affected into your PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, so instead of doing stop and start, okay, we can use the restart button. Okay, we can use the restart utility, okay, to reload our configurations, okay, the static configuration to the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, so guys, any doubts here?
So in Postgres also we have a static and dynamic concept, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, those things actually you will get the better understanding in configuration file management. That is our fifth module. Okay, we will show you how we can find the like static and dynamic parameters and everything we will show you. Okay, how and what is the PG settings utility. Okay, we will show you those things. Okay, and these These are the like options, and these are the syntax to perform the reload and the restart of the PostgreSQL cluster. Okay. So by using the systemctl and by using the PG_CTL utility, okay, so we can use the reload option here and the data directory. Okay, under the data directory. Okay, and similarly we have the restart option. Okay, we have the restart option. What it will do, it will stop your PostgreSQL cluster and it will start again. The PostgreSQL cluster will be start again. Okay, and here this is from OS. This is from the OS level. Okay, so in the OS level we need to perform these activities. Okay, so these utilities are available, or these utilities are coming with the binaries. Okay, so we can play with these utilities from the OS level, but whenever if you want us to perform, okay, if you want you to perform the same reload operation in PSQL prompt, it is from the database level. Okay, for the dynamic parameters we need to use this PG_reload_conf utility. Okay, this is equivalent to PGCTL reload utility. Okay, PG_reload_conf utility. This is from the PSQL prompt. It means the database level. Okay, and these all are related to the reload. PGCTL and systemctl utilities are from OS level. You will get the better understanding in configuration file management, guys. Okay, and another thing is PG_control data. Okay, so during the configuration file management, we will show you. Okay, we will read and everything. Okay, related to PG_control data. So what exactly PG_control data and what inside? Okay, what inside of the control file it is having? Okay, all those information we will show you. Okay, but PG_control data, this is a utility. Okay, this is a utility in PostgreSQL. Okay, to read the PostgreSQL control file. Okay, so this you will get the better understanding. This here we paste just off of the information. Okay, but during the configuration file management, you will get the better understanding. Okay, what is the version of the PostgreSQL? Okay, what is the catalog version? Okay, so what is the system identifier? Okay, this cluster is in production. Okay, and like all this information. Okay, we will give you it is a very big file. Okay, and it is having the many options. Okay, we will show you in configuration file management. Okay, so yeah, that's it for related to third module, and we will jump into the remaining two installation methods. Okay, any doubts, guys, before starting the installation? Malati.
Hey, yes, one question with reference to this directory information we need to provide, right, to stop the the cluster or instance. So this one you said this is a kind of a home directory. So if you have multiple clusters on the same server, can we have multiple clusters on the same server?
Yes, we can have the multiple clusters in the data, like PostgreSQL cluster. Okay, so it means server. Okay, we can call it. Suppose if you have one server, you can have a PostgreSQL 12, you can have PostgreSQL 15, you can have PostgreSQL 16. But here, if you are initializing your PostgreSQL cluster, you need to divide. Okay, you need to divide with your PostgreSQL data directory with different locations. You got my point, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
For 12, you need to mention -d, different directory related to 12. Okay, and for 15, you need to mention -d, different directory for the 15. Okay, and 16, you can mention different directory related to 16 while initializing your cluster. That way we can.
But one question is those are all different versions of Postgres, right?
Yes.
Like Oracle, we have 12c client, 12c, 19c, everything on the same server. So this one it is like that. But if you have different instances or clusters of Postgres, and each cluster you said it has multiple databases, right?
Yeah.
So can we?
Yeah, Malati, just to answer your question, actually we can have same version with multiple clusters, but the only thing is port should be different. So in one cluster, okay, port has to be only one. For example, if you define for one cluster default port 5432, You cannot use the
Okay.
same port for the other cluster. So you have to give the other port and you can use that cluster.
Oh, okay. Oh, it is different. Okay. In Oracle, you can have on the same port listening in like 1521. You can have several instances. Though this is separated by port. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Now, please stop your screen. I will just share.
Yep.
Okay, so in the last session, actually, we have seen how to install Postgres cluster with source method. Okay, so this is my, if you go to postgresql.org, okay, if you go to downloads, so here we have seen in the source method, we are directly downloading the source code, right? So here you are just taking this tar file and you are just downloading with wget and you are unzip. And with make and make install, with the help of that, we are compiling all the source code because it's a C language. We are compiling with make and make install, and all the instructions will be present in the make file. So according to that, it is going to execute or compile. First, it will compile and it will execute all the binaries. Okay, since it is a C program. This is one way of installation, and we have the other way of installation. If you go to downloads, we can also install with the M method. Okay, so here you have to choose the operating system Linux, and we also have flavor. Okay, Linux distribution also we can select. Since mine is comes under this category, Red Hat Linux or Oracle Linux comes into the same family. Okay, here you can choose which version you want. I'm going with 15, and platform. Mine is Oracle's version 7. Okay, so that is the reason I'm choosing this. Even Red Hat, CentOS, Oracle version all comes under the same family. So I'm just choosing this, and my architecture is x86 and 64. Okay, so these are the 4 steps to install the cluster. So here this method have, okay, so the Postgres community has already defined the one repository. Okay, and in that repository you can download your all packages like PostgreSQL 15, and we also have client, we also have Devil package, and we also have contrib package. So all packages included in this repository. So first thing is you have to download this repository. Here you no need to follow all the pre-checks, like we have installed GCC package, we have installed make package, we have installed jetlib package and read line. So those things we don't need here, because this entirely, this all M method is already prepared or already ready-made. Okay, everything will be installed as part of your server installation. Okay, we don't need to worry about all the dependencies like source method. So here everything is pre-packaged. Okay, it will come with the default all the dependency packages. It will come along with all the default settings in terms of parameters or hpa.conf, everything. Okay, it will come with all the default. We don't need to worry about everything with this method. Okay, so I'm just going step by step method. So first I'm going to download the repository from postgresql.org. You see, it is also resolving all the dependency packages. Okay, so actually this M method, if you are aware of the Linux, okay, we have a file called m.repos.d. Okay, here if you do ls-ldr, you have all the repos. So before I download this repo, I don't see this repo. So after I just downloaded this repository, I could see this repo is added in my etc m.repo.d. Okay, so if you cat this repo file, it has all the instructions with like to download your necessary Postgres version and the cluster. Okay, usually it has all kind of versions. You see 13 you have, 14 you have, 12 you have, 15, 16, all versions you have. Whatever version you are downloading, based on that, these have instructions to download. Okay, so this is the repo file which I have downloaded in the first step. Second step, what I'm doing, I'm going to download or I'm going to install the PostgreSQL 15 server. Okay, this is the main important package. Okay, so I'm going to install this. So if you are not downloading this repo, you cannot able to download this PostgreSQL 15.server package. Okay. So first we need to download repo because this repo only having set of instructions to download this server. So it will download all your dependencies. Okay. And you don't need to worry about it. If you see lib module also it is installing along with the server, all dependencies it will download. We don't need to worry about it. Even if you don't have GCC, if you don't have read line, if you don't have make, everything it will install. Okay. All my dependencies also installed along with the server. Okay. Now these are all optional steps. Okay. So how we can initialize the cluster. So for now, what we did, we have just downloaded the repo. From repo, we have installed the PostgreSQL 15. Along with the 15, we can also install some other modules. Like if you want to install client, you can go with this. Or if you want server, we already installed, right? And if you want to go with contrib modules, okay, contrib modules is something important, and even devil modules is something important. These two, it's better to install previously because this plays a major role in terms of if you are trying to install any extensions. Okay, so don't worry about what is extensions and all. We'll cover it later in other module. Okay, but
So
it's always
extension in the sense it's a PG vectors.
yeah, PG vector is one of the extension. In similarly, we also have n number of extensions. Okay, extension is nothing but it's an external package or external software which you are attaching to your Postgres binaries. Okay, so to have some features. Example, if you want to, encrypt your row. Okay, so your row data by default in Postgres you don't get that. You have to install PG crypto extension. Just an example. Okay.
Yeah.
Similarly, similarly you have like n number of extensions. For example, if you want to read your page, how much free space it has. By default, you cannot read. If you install extensions, you will get some predefined catalog tables and views. Based on that, you can able to read the page layout, how it looks like. You can read the page header, how it looks like. So that those things and all we'll discuss. Okay. For now, along with the server, I'm also going to install the contrib module. Okay, because it's important for us. Okay, here I'm mentioning 15 because my version is 50.
So in real time, if the server doesn't have any internet connection, so we don't know how we can download all those packages, required packages to install.
Yeah, in that case, like you have to go with source code. Okay, so you can take help with Linux admins to download the package, or or your operations team to help you to download. Okay, so and then you can go with the source code method. Okay, as discussed. Definitely. Okay, if you don't have internet, you have to go with offline mode. Okay, so you have to download the source code and you can install. If you have internet, you can directly use this method. So most.
So we have to give all these required packages to the respective team, right?
Yes, definitely. Because without this, you cannot install the. If you go with M method, you don't need to worry about all the dependencies. But if you go with source code method, you have to install the necessary dependencies as discussed in the last session. So otherwise we cannot install Postgres cluster. You have to give your requirement to operations team. Okay, so far we have installed the repository. From the repository, we have already installed PostgreSQL server. So if you install this, you will get the binaries. Okay. So when you install this, by default, your binaries will be in USR PG SQL 15. Okay, and here you have bin. Okay, so these are all your binaries. Okay, and you could see here you have initdb utility. Okay, with the help of this utility, we are going to initialize the cluster. Okay, so initialize the cluster means what does it do exactly? So we have to define a data directory where we need to have all set of files related to data files, okay, and related to dictionary table, related to control file. All files will be, by default, it will create, okay, initdb utility will create all the PG data directory. So before we initialize the cluster, we have to create the directory. If you're not creating directory and if you're directly executing this step, initdb, by default, your data directory will be in var lib location, okay? If you don't want to go with the default location, you have to create your directory. For example, let me create like PG data. Okay, I already have PG data. Okay, it is empty. So I want to create my data directory in this location. Okay, so for this, I'm going to grant necessary permissions and roles. And this has to be owner of Oracle, right? Sorry, Postgres. I'm just granting the ownership as Postgres to this directory. Okay, so this directory I'm using as a data directory. Okay, while initializing the cluster, you have to specify this data directory. If you're not specifying, if you just run this command, by default it will go to var lib location. Okay, so I don't want to go with var lib location, and it's best practice to have a good storage mount point, and which is having good IO. Okay, so good storage IO disk. Okay, so that I'm going to allocate for this PG data directory. So now what I will do, since my default location of binaries is this, okay, inside this binary location, I have a utility called initdb, and here I'm specifying this is my data directory. Okay, it will initialize the cluster and it will create all necessary directories inside this. Okay, let's do that. And that to this we have to do from Postgres user, not from root user. I have switched to Postgres user. Okay, while you install this PostgreSQL 15 server, it will automatically create a user also, okay, which is Postgres. You don't need to create this. It will automatically create when you install your server. Okay, so now you can just switch to Postgres user and just run this command. Just initialize the cluster. So what it is, fixing the permission to this directory, and it is creating the default parameters like shared memory, max connections, shared buffers. Okay, and it allocated the default time zone, and it has initialized your cluster. Okay, and it has synced all data to your data directory. So if you just go your data directory, and it also give a command to start your cluster. So this is the command to start your cluster. PG_CTL is a part of your Postgres binaries. You can use this to stop, start, restart your cluster. Okay, I'm just going to the data directory, and if I just give ls-ldir, I could see a bunch of subdirectories. Okay, so as Siraj explained today diagram, this is all the files. Okay, so we'll understand all files, each file in entirely continuation of this course. Okay, don't worry about this. So the base directory, global directory, hp.conf, iodine.conf, autoconf, postgresql.conf, global, okay, and pg table space. So these are all the subdirectories. Okay, so we will explore in the next module each and every folder, what exactly it is and what information it has. Okay, so don't worry about this. For now, we have just initialized the cluster. When you initialize the cluster, it will create all these directories, which includes your data files, your control files, your wall files, your parameter files, everything it includes. Okay. Now let's start the cluster. And one more important thing is here, to start your cluster, either you can use systemctl or pgctl, right? So you have to follow either one. Okay, so for example, if you initially use systemctl start PostgreSQL while building the cluster, and later point of time, okay, so few times you may face issue again, if you shift to PGCTL, so you can follow either one method or to start and stop. Okay, so now if I use systemctl start PostgreSQL 15 and I can use my cluster maybe after a few days or maybe after a few months or a few years. Okay, I don't want to use systemctl. I want to use PGCTL to stop and stop the cluster. Okay, and at that moment, whenever you do any parameter changes and when you stop the cluster with PGCTL, again, when you try to start with systemctl will not doesn't aware of what changes you did and whether you stop with PGCTL, it will not aware. Okay, so a few times you may get some clashes or some issues. It will not able to read that parameter and something. Okay, so that's why when you so you have to follow either one, whether you can use systemctl start PostgreSQL 15. So in real time, basically it depends on your company policies. Few times what happened, your Linux team will not give root access, right? So you don't have feasibility to stop and start with the systemctls because systemctl has to be done from root. So you don't have root access. If they give sudo, at least you can use the sudo access to stop and start or manage a cluster. If you don't have that scenarios, then you can manage with PGCTL. Okay. So here I'm going to start with PGCTL, and even you can start with systemctl. Anything is fine, but it's good practice to use any one. Okay, so either you can use systemctl or PGCTL. As discussed, it entirely depends on your company policies. They will give root or may not give. If they give root, well and good, you can manage with systemctl. If they are not giving root access, you can manage with PGCTL. Okay, anything will work. Okay, but follow only one process. In future also, if you want to shut down your cluster and you want to hand over to any patching team or something, you can just follow either one. Okay. So I'm going to start the cluster, and every time I don't want to, use the full path. Okay, I want to set the bash profile before I start. Okay, let's go and do a bash. Let's go and set the bash profile. Yeah, so let me. So as discussed, by default, this is the PG data allocation. Okay, since we have used our customized data location, I'm just going to add my data location, PG data. So this is my PG data. So PG data is environment variable. I'm assigning this as this path because this path I'm treating as a PG data. Okay, and along with that, I also need to add export path. So where is my binaries? So my binary location is this USR psql bin. Okay, and okay, so I'm just pointing out to the bin directory of my binaries, and this is my PG data. Okay, so this is my bash profile, and if I just execute the bash profile, and I can just use PGCTL start -d $PG data. Even you don't need to mention the path of your data directory. So you can just use this variable every time to stop and start. This is easy, right? So you don't need to always use the full path to start your cluster and stop the cluster. So you can just you can set the bash profile. This is one-time task after you build the cluster, and you can just directly start the cluster. Okay, the server is started. Now, if you want to check the status, you can just check PGCTL status PG data. Okay, it is running, and even you can just check with PS-script Postgres. Okay, so these are all the background process: logger, checkpointer, background writer, wall writer, auto vacuum launcher, and replication launcher. Okay, and this is the postmaster main process. Okay, master process. Okay, and these are all the background process. For example, if you kill any of one background process, I'm killing the logger. So logger is one of the background process who will write the all information to the alert log. Okay, I'm just trying to kill this particular background process. We'll see what happens. Okay. Now just go to, if you see difference, okay. The process ID of log read is 15168. After I kill, what Postmaster did, Postmaster automatically started with other, with other PID. Okay. So Postmaster main task is it will monitor all your background process. If something happens, it will restart immediately, just in a fraction of seconds. Okay. And it also main responsible for authenticating your sessions. Okay. Based on the connection string which you passed from the application, it will check all the connection string and it will authenticate your sessions. Okay. That is the main responsible of your Postmaster. And whenever you initialize the cluster, the first process which is going to start is your Postmaster, as we discussed. This is a supervisor process and which will monitor all your background process and it is responsible for the authentication as well. Okay. So now I have started my cluster and you can just use pSQL to connect the Postgres cluster. Okay. And this is my version. If you want to see your data directory, you can just use show data underscore directory. Okay. This is my data directory. This data directory contains all my data files, wall files and so on, right? And now, before we discuss most of the things, I want to deinstall my cluster. Okay, for example, I don't want anymore. Okay, you can just try to stop $pg data. I want to uninstall my cluster. We have seen installation, but I want to do uninstall. Okay, you can just stop the cluster and you can just come to root. So this method which I'm talking is for M method. When you do installation with M method, if you want to remove the, if you want to do deinstall, you can just use M remove Postgres 15 star. Okay, it will remove all the modules. Okay, it is so if you just do M remove Postgres, it will go and check all the dependencies, all the packages which is as a part of your Postgres. If you see contrib model which we have installed and the server which we installed. So if I just give yes, it will remove all my packages. Okay, this method you have to follow when you install with M method. Okay, and it will remove your binaries as well. If you go to, so you see there is nothing, right? Bin location, it has removed everything. Okay, but it won't remove your data directory. If you just go to PG data, still you could see all files resides. Okay, these files you have to remove manually with rm-r. That's it, because your binary is itself gone. Then we don't need to worry about these files. You can just do rm-rf. Deinstall is done. Okay, and you can remove all the necessary directories which you want to remove. This is the method to deinstall your Postgres cluster when you go with a method. For example, if you do with source method, or even if you go with RPM method. So there is one more method called RPM. If you directly come here, there is an option called direct download. Okay, here you could see this is the RPM method. This RPM method and M method is almost same. Only difference is in M method, you are going to configure with repository. Here, directly RPMs itself, you are downloading to your server. Okay. For example, I want to go with 14. Okay, and you can choose the OS whatever you want. And this is the database server, available groups. Okay, inside this you have to install these 4 packages or these 4 RPMs, you can say. So contrib, libs, and server. For example, if you go to server, and this is the latest version in the 14.11. You can just do copy link and you can just download with the duplicate option. So it will download your RPMs. Okay. ls minus LTR, you will get this RPM. In similarly, you have to go and download 4 RPMs. I have downloaded server and you can go to lib. I am going to copy and you can download. So like this, you can download all 4 RPMs, and with RPM-IVH command, you can install these 4 packages and you can initialize the cluster as usual how we do in the M method. So this is how you can do with the RPM method. So to deinstall your cluster, either you do with RPM or M, same method. Okay, you have to just do M remove and Postgres SQL. If you just do it, will remove everything. Either you go with M method or you go with RPM method. The installation is the same step, but when you do with source method, okay, because in the source method, if you download you are going to source code and you are going to download, right? How you can remove that? Let's see. Okay, for example, this is a source which I have installed in the last session, right? I'm going to this folder, and here usually what you do, here you are doing make and make install. To deinstall, you can just do make clean. That's it. It will remove all your binaries. So this command you have to use when you do with source method. When you do with M method, you have to use M remove to clean up or to deinstall your cluster. When you do with source method, you have to use make clean. Okay. Since I already did, because I want to show with the M method, right? So that's why I have created the previous source method. How previously we installed the source method. So I already did with make clean. Okay. So it will remove all your binaries. With the help of make only, you have to deinstall your binaries. Okay. Once the binaries is deinstalled, then you can remove your data directory. Okay. This is how you can do the deinstall. Okay, so these steps we will provide the lab manual as well. You please try to practice and let us know if you have any doubts. Okay, so from next session, probably we will jump more into practical part. So far we have just seen different types of installations and how to deinstall and how to start and stop the cluster. That's it. So from tomorrow we will go still more depth, how to manage the cluster and how to see the data files and how to see the wall files and at what frequent wall file generates, so on. We can keep on going. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts up to here?
Yeah, I have one doubt. So when we are initializing the cluster using initDB, can we have a custom name for, let's say I want to create a name for my own database. So can we, is there any option to create a custom name for that cluster using initDB?
No, actually cluster doesn't have any name. So we have default databases into that cluster like template 0, template 1 and so on. But customized databases you can create.
Okay.
Yeah, cluster, we don't have any name. So we can say it's an instance, right? So yeah, so we have multiple databases inside that. We will get a default databases like Postgres template 0, template 1. Later, you can create your own customized databases. So finally, application team will connect to database to the schema, right? So,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
And also one of the main feature of RAC is high availability, right?
Yes.
So in this, when we in Postgres, we are creating a cluster. Cluster means it's a combination of the same databases residing on the same server, right?
Yes, correct.
So how high availability is maintained in Postgres?
Yeah, high availability, like we don't have such kind of features like RAC, like running multiple instances. We have only one instance, okay, which is you only need to configure high availability replication. So with the replication only, you have high availability.
Okay.
But you Bhanu, like just adding to Suresh, like if you like planning to move or use cloud related things, okay, there like we have the high availability solutions,
okay.
either into a different region or with replication kind of thing. But here in on-prem systems, okay, so you don't have any high availability solution directly from PostgreSQL community.
Okay. So it's only the replication is the only option when we are going with on-prem.
Yeah, community version. If you go with the enterprise kind of thing, they have their own replication. If you go with DDB, they have advanced server. Okay, there you have some replications and all. I mean for high availability solutions. Okay. But community editions, we don't have any such kind of features.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Malati, just answer to your question, just like we draw this diagram. Okay, you can see here, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here you can say the server, okay, or maybe host we can say. In the server, we can install PostgreSQL 12 binaries, okay, PostgreSQL 15 binaries, PostgreSQL 16 binaries, okay. And here you can see the binaries location, okay. The binary location is separate for 12, binary location is separate for 15, binary location is separate for 16. And also, while initializing your cluster, you need to mention, okay, the customizer location, okay, the customizer location of your like data directory. If you are not mentioning your customizer directory also, the PostgreSQL, okay, while suppose you are already having the 12 and you are going to install the 15, okay, and this one, the 12 is not having any customized location, it is having the default location, okay. So PostgreSQL 15, while installing PostgreSQL 15, okay, it is automatically create, okay, in the same directory, okay, the default directory, the default directory is where, okay, lib / okay, the data directory, something like that, okay. So initially it will make with 12, and next you are installing 15, it will make another directory with 15, okay. And if you are installing 16, it will make another directory with 16, okay. So otherwise, if you want to customize your directory for each instances, each version of your PostgreSQL, you can customize with your own directories. Okay. So up to here clear? Up to here clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So on top of that, to segregate this particular instances, to make a connection to the particular instance, okay, you need to use the different port numbers. Okay, you need to use different port numbers for each version of your PostgreSQL database cluster. Okay, and also you need to mention, okay, here the PostgreSQL instance or PostgreSQL cluster is nothing but grouping of the databases. These entire databases are identical, are equal to, are relevant to this instance. Okay, and these particular databases are relevant to this PostgreSQL 15 instances. There is no relation between this instance and this instance. Okay, like this, you can have in each server, you can have n number of versions of your PostgreSQL flavors. Hope it is clear for you.
Okay. Yeah. This is very clear. One question I have is, like instance 12 has DB1, DB2, DB3, right? And we don't have option, is the DB1, DB2, DB3 equivalent to individual schemas, or we have option to shut down DB1 separately, like pluggable databases. We can shut down each pluggable database,
No,
right?
here actually the concept of the schemas is different. Okay, the databases, okay, we don't have like the option to, you can down only one database, nothing like that. Okay, you need to bring down entire cluster. Okay, if you bring down the entire cluster, okay, the associated database inside your particular cluster, okay, that will be like down. Okay, and related to schemas, okay, the schemas, users and role, how it will in PostgreSQL, you will see in our user management session.
Sure.
Okay, so I think it is late, guys. Yeah, I think Malati, it is clear for you. If there is no
this is clear.
Yeah, if there is no doubts, we can close the session. It's been already like 7:52 a.m. So 20 minutes extra. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the explanation.
Yep. Guys, any other doubts before closing the class?
Yeah, only one last question, Raj. So regarding the installation, we tried for a different method, right? Source and M method. So if I have to install in my lab session with the two different Postgres clusters on the same server using the different port, what extra thing I have to do?
Nothing. You need to provide your customizer location. Otherwise, okay, if you're unable to provide the customizer location, PostgreSQL will take like internally. It will manage internally. It will create the directories into your like default location internally. Okay, and it will make a separate subdirectory in your default directory. For the binaries, if you are installing 12, it will create the 12 directory. And on top of that, you are installing even in the same server, you are installing PostgreSQL 15. Okay, it is automatically create, okay, the 15 folder under the bin directory. And also it is going to create the 15 folder related to data directory. Okay.
But we have to use a different port, right? Where I need to mention that we can't use the same port. That's what you guys said, right?
See. In the data directory, suppose 12 having the separate data directory, 15 having the data directory, and 16 having the data directory. Each version of the data directory containing the number of parameter files directories relevant to your version. Okay.
Yes.
There in the PostgreSQL.conf, okay, there is a port option. Okay. In the
Okay.
port option, if you want to change your things, okay, there you can mention. There you can separate your port numbers. Hope it is correct.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thanks much.
Okay.
One question, please. Sorry, one question.
Yes, Darpan, please.
Now, now if I'm a new DBA connecting to my Oracle server and the instance is down, what I would do is I would go to etc orainst.loc, pull out the inventory location, then under the content XML directory, I'll get the inventory.xml directory. I'll get to know what my home directory installation is, right?
Mhm.
So out here in Postgres, if I'm given a fresh server, asked to check if Postgres is installed or not. So how do I check that? You don't, I mean, for example, I don't know what my data directory path is. I know nothing. So is there any configuration file where all the installation data is dumped?
See, actually in the bash profile, we need to mention this information. Okay. The directory is like where the data directory, okay, where is the bin location. Okay. So that is the one way we can find out the where is the location for your like softwares, the binaries and also data directory. Okay. So if that is also not there, okay, the thing is we need to like dig into like where exactly these locations, where the binaries, where the like it is. If you mention the customizer, okay, there you will see, okay, there you will see the proper directory structures. Okay. So from there you can mention if it is keep on running, the system is keep on running and you don't know the path. Okay. If you mention ps-ef grep the Postgres SQL, you will see, okay, where the postmaster process, it is running, it is having the bin location and also it is having the data directory location. Okay. From there you can pick it either from bash profile, either from like the ps-ef grep the Postgres SQL. If you mention, right, there you will see that like where is my bin directory, where is my data directory.
Okay, because see, I understand you do a PS-, if your instance is up, you get the data. I'm just thinking out loud, how do I troubleshoot if for some reason, if my bash profile does not have that data path?
Correct.
Then what do I do?
So there in that situation, see, it means the system who build in our environment, okay, so he is making confuse of all our teammates. Okay.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got your point. Okay. So either like as a proper DBA, they need to mention the bash profile. Okay. If the system is down, there is no bash profile, you need to dig. Okay. So you know what is the default location of the Postgres SQL. Suppose he is not mentioning. Okay. He is not mentioning. Okay. So the bin directory of the Postgres SQL. Okay. You can mention which PSQL command. Okay. It will take you into the bin location of your Postgres SQL. Okay. With the help of that, you can try to start your Postgres SQL cluster. Okay. You can try to start your Postgres SQL cluster. So then that is the binary location. But again, while starting also, you need the data directory. So you need to search for your data directory without bash profile. Okay. Without data directory. So we're unable to start your Postgres SQL cluster. Even if you, with help of the PSQL cluster, you are able to find your the binary information also. Okay. Come. I will drop in the, yeah, wait. Okay. So, just a moment. Actually, my daughter having the school. Okay. Yeah. Just wait. Okay. So actually, if you finding with the help of the PSQL location also, if you help of the PSQL, which PSQL, it will mention the binary location also. You need to like externally, you need to search for your like data directory. There is no other option. Okay. It means you, as a DBA, you are not maintaining your systems properly.
Okay, so we'll have to rely on find command, right?
Yes.
What you saying? Okay.
Yes.
Maybe find PG tables space directory or some other directory. Fine.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So guys, like it's, yeah, we can close the session. Okay. So if there is no doubt, so even my daughter also fighting with me. So I need to jump.
Thank you, Bhai.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll catch tomorrow.